Well,
what do we say, man? How do we recover from this?
We were wrong about Drickus.
More than wrong.
More than wrong.
Let's be clear to the audience. We have discussed deleting the channel. We've discussed deleting that video and pretending it never happened.
Disappearing from the internet.
Drickus, we are very sorry. No words can describe how humiliating this is for us.
I would have never guessed. I just would have never imagined this. Not only beating Rob, finishing him inside of 2 rounds. And after winning round 1.
He won round 1 too. It's not like it was a fluke either. Yeah.
Wasn't a fluke. And he got him with a jab.
He dropped Robert Whittaker, the guy who's only been finished by the champ.
Yeah.
With a jab.
We didn't do an intro. We didn't do an intro for this episode. We had to start with this. We had to just dive right in.
Own up. We got to own up.
Own up to our mistakes. Drickus, we apologize. He proved us wrong. Very wrong.
We didn't. Let's not let that distract us, though, from how great of a card this was, right?
10 out of 10 card. We got our apology out the way. Handled. Got the
tough
part
we'll get more in depth into his performance later.
And we will. We're just getting the hard part out of the way early, so it's not looming on our minds. Drickus, right. We're sorry. On to the main event.
on to the main event, yeah.
Incredible performance by Volk. Just beat the shit out of Yair. Yair started looking good in round 3. Was landing some nice kicks. Was doing a good job controlling the range, but Volk got inside, landed clean right, knocked him down, and that ground and pound was vicious. And that's something we talked about in the preview. His top control is good, and his top pressure, and his ground and pound is unbelievable. And that's something Yair struggles against, and that ended up being what put him out of the fight. How'd you feel about how this fight went?
Yeah, I mean, career high takedowns for Volk. He looks like the grappling training, how much the levels he must have got better training for Islam. I mean, it's shown because he went out there and embarrassed Yair. He really did. I mean, some of the takedowns just looked so easy. The single legs, the double legs, it didn't matter. Like, they were just too easy. The entries were easy for him. And like you mentioned, the ground and pound was there. Obviously, he dropped him there in the 3rd round and then finished him off with the ground and pound. Yeah. But even before that, in the first 2 rounds, he was getting him down and doing damage.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a good old-fashioned beatdown by Volk.
Yeah, Volk looked spectacular. I mean, he's already shown in the past that he's levels above any other featherweight. But with the wrestling that you saw and all that incorporated into his game in the last fight, I mean, it doesn't look like anybody at featherweight even has a chance. I know Ilya is rising the ranks. He looks really good. He beat the shit out of Josh Emmett. Yeah. But I still don't think it's going to be – I don't think he's going to be competition for Volk.
I mean, you've seen what he's done in a striking match against Max, right? Dominated one of the best, featherweight strikers ever.
Yeah.
Like, probably number 2 in the featherweight GOAT list. And then dominated him in the striking, and then went out there and showed levels to his grappling that we haven't seen before, which we kind of saw in the Islam fight. But, obviously Islam's so good that it kind of evened out. But in this fight, he just looked levels above Yair.
Yeah.
Nobody at 145 is beating him. Nobody.
No. He's untouchable right now in that division. Looking at his future and stuff, yes, I would like to see him become double champ. I would like to see him get that shot at Islam soon. I don't think he needs to fight Islam in Abu Dhabi this October, though. I think that's too quick of a turnaround. I think it's like 3 months and some change, plus the surgery he has to get. I don't think that's a smart call. I think if he stacks a couple more title defenses at featherweight on and then fights Islam at a later date, becomes double champ, man, I mean, his resume will be up there with the best. I mean, I'd put him at least top 3 of all time at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he's already in discussion for all-time GOAT. Obviously, John Jones is insane himself. But, once Volk starts stacking title defenses, and then if he goes up and becomes double champ, and beats, avenges his loss against Islam, then right there in the top 3, like you said, I think that's very fair.
Yeah, and as much as I'd love to see him become double champ, I don't think he needs to put his all into that. I mean, you look at the guys who are the GOATs of the sport. You look at John Jones. He became the GOAT off of title defenses. His dominance in one division is what made him the GOAT. You look at a guy like Anderson Silva. His dominance in one division made him one of the best of all time. It's not a necessity. Yeah, GSP as well. It's not something that's necessary. It'd be an incredible accomplishment, but not as many guys have double-digit title defenses as there are double champs. So, look, if he can do both, that would be remarkable. But I think title defenses are just as impressive, and I think if he can keep stacking them at featherweight and keep proving how dominant he is in that division, it still adds to his resume just as much.
And the only reason we're even discussing about a move up is because he's literally cleaned out 145. Like, there really aren't many contenders left for him to take out. So that's why we are talking about potential matchups a weight class up. But yeah, I mean, go beat Topuria, who's undefeated and talking a lot of smack right now. That should be the next fight. Go shut him up, and that's another name on the list. And just keep adding on. He's so good, man, so good.
Yeah, and you know what? I think Ilya will be the champ one day. He's a monster. I think whenever Volk's time is up, I think Ilya has a great shot at that title. And in him being able to defend the belt against Ilya, if Ilya is able to accomplish that in the future, him having a title defense against him will make that look so much more impressive.
It'll just make it age really well, yeah.
Yeah, Volk he's rising up the ranks in the all-time rankings quick. I don't know where I'd put him right now. I'd say he's certainly top 10. I'd say that without a doubt. But if you can keep stacking those title defenses and maybe become champ,
it'd be hard to not say he's the GOAT at that point.
Yeah, it'd be hard not to. So yeah, and I don't want to slander Yair. I mean, he's still a great fighter, very exciting, fun to watch. His wrestling defense is not good. It's something that'll need to be improved. But he was throwing some nice kicks. I think he landed a couple on Volk that looked nice. Obviously, didn't do much to him, but Yair, you can't even fault him really. Volk is just on another level.
And now Yair's probably just going to sadly fall into the spot of like where Max Holloway is where like he's going to be he's going to be another gatekeeper, right? In that top 5, just all right, beat him to maybe get a chance at Volk.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to say. Like Yair, interim title, it was cool to see another Mexican champ, and it was an awesome performance against Josh Emmett. But you said in the preview, right? Even Max Holloway looked good in the top control and in their fight. So I mean, it was kind of written in the stars. And I think we all saw this kind of coming. Yeah. And he'll be back and hopefully better.
He will. Good fight overall. I had Volk by decision. Didn't take that long for him to get it done. What'd you have again?
I had Volk decision too.
Volk decision. Yeah. Well, at least we got the winner right. We'll say that. Moving on to the co-main event, Brandon Moreno versus Alexander Pantoja. Great fight. When we look back on a recap of this year, this will without a doubt be a contender for Fight of the Year. Still a lot more of the year left to go, but this probably is the best one of the year so far. I mean, a 5-round war between these two, and Moreno did it on a broken hand. Incredible fight, and hats off to both men. I'd love to see a rematch as the next fight for the flyweight belt.
Yeah, especially considering it was such a good fight, and there's not really a number one contender popping out at you right now. I think you definitely just run that back later this year once both men get healthy from this war, because, I mean, we saw both their faces at the end of this. They were both damaged and beaten, and like you mentioned with Moreno, the broken hand. So it's going to take some time before we get this rematch probably, but it's the fight to make because these two are warriors. I think we both kind of saw this coming. I feel like in the preview, it was just going to be a dogfight. I mean, you just hear Alexandre Pantoja's nickname, he's
cannibal.
And what is his chin, by the way?
It's unbelievable. He was eating so many shots. Those 1-2s from Moreno were nasty, and he was just eating them.
Yeah, the 1-2 head kick, it was there the whole night, and he was eating the jab. I mean, every time he threw the 1-2, he landed the jab. Pantoja's face somehow didn't look as bad as Moreno's at the end of this because, he was eating a lot more when they were standing.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of said in the preview I didn't think it would be a striker versus grappling matchup. I didn't want to take it that far, and Pantoja did have success in the striking, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think both their strengths were showcased. I'd say Moreno probably edged him in the striking, and I'd say once Pantoja got his takedowns, which he got a lot of, he had a lot more success there. So
when he had a lot of control in round 4 and 5, that's what I'd say won him the fight.
The body triangles are huge for him.
Yeah.
Just taking the back. Always the threat of the rear naked was there. I want to say he went for the arm a couple times too. He was just always threatening on Moreno's back, and that wins you rounds. It does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Outstanding fight between these two. You were saying it when we watched it. There was no loser. That was incredible. Obviously, Moreno doesn't have the belt anymore, but I think that's the fight to make. I think he'll get that rematch, and deservedly so. I know he kind of goes. He doesn't really defend the belt, but man, with how impressive a performance that was from both guys, I think it's what you have to make up next. Because, like you said, there's nobody else at flyweight really that I think deserves it.
Yeah.
Considering Albazi won his last fight, you could make a case for him. However, did he win that?
Kai won that. Let's be real.
Kai won that fight, and I'm standing on that. So I don't think Albazi deserves the next title shot. Now, if Pantoja went out there and wiped the floor with Moreno or vice versa, then Albazi deserves the next fight. But since it was that close of a fight, that much of a war, you got to run it back.
Yeah, and you said, hey, Moreno doesn't have the belt anymore. He doesn't really defend his title. But if you can say anyone in the UFC has the heart of a champion, it's Brandon Moreno, because the wars this guy has been in. A quadrilogy with Figueiredo, and now to have a trilogy with Pantoja, where the first two fights were so one-sided in Pantoja's favor, to come back this many years later and show how much better of a fighter he's become. He has the heart of a champion, even if he doesn't have the belt.
Yeah, and who knows how that fight would have gone if his hand didn't break. Who knows.
That's true.
Crazy heart from him. So a great fight.
Maybe that's why Pantoja's chin did hold up. Maybe all the power wasn't behind Moreno's punches anymore, but war. Oh.
Yeah, I had Moreno by decision. I was wrong on that. You had Pantoja by round 2 sub. Hey, at least you got who won, right?
I did pick the winner.
Congrats. So on to the third fight of the card. We got the tough part out of the way. We owned up to our mistakes. Whitaker versus Duplessis. Man, Whitaker looked solid opening up. He looked good at the beginning. He was landing some nice punches. I don't think he wobbled Duplessis at any point. He didn't land anything crazy, but Duplessis got him on the ground at the end of round 1, had some nasty ground and pound. Got him with a big elbow that split him, and then got the finish in round 2. Look, man, we were wrong. I don't know if it was because of the nose surgery. I don't know what to attribute it to, but he looks a lot better than he did in his last 2 fights.
A lot of the slander in our preview was so based off the gassing, right? The gassing. You're gassing against Derek Brunson. You're gassing against Darren Till. And you're telling me you're not going to, the pace of Robert Whitaker walking you down, you're not going to gas against him? It just looked too obvious, right? And I don't know if it is the nose surgery or he had a great camp. He did look big, and he looked great. This was probably, the best shape he's ever looked. We were just wrong, man. We were just wrong.
Well, and I imagine he took this fight a lot more seriously in camp than he did against Brunson and Darren Till. Both those guys are, at this stage in their careers, very beatable. Whitaker, not the case. The only guy he's lost to in the last decade is Izzy, is the champ. So for Duplessis to go out there and get that win, incredible. Look, man, I'm not a big fan of him, and we both thought he was a fraud, but I got to give him credit where it's due. He looked great. He looked a little sloppy towards the beginning of round 1, but he got that together quick, and at the end, he stole the first round from Rob and then finished the fight in the second. Didn't matter anyways.
I was just gonna say the first half of that first round was just Rob being Rob. He was throwing the 1-2 head kick. It's his signature move. It was working. You thought it was gonna be another, maybe Whitaker gets him out of there, hurts him, or just finishes him. And then the grappling comes into it. It was a kind of an awkward takedown, really. It was just Duplessis, showing his strength, really, getting a headlock, flinging him over his shoulder. And I mean, he's a strong dude, man. Like I mentioned, this is the best he's ever looked. He looked jacked.
Yeah.
And add a gas tank to that, right? That's a good fighter, and he showed, he was good. I mean, he went out there and beat the number one contender. So
yeah,
you just got to tip your cap, man. You do.
Absolutely. So obviously the fight to make for the middleweight belt is Izzy versus Dricus. There's no question about that happening. I don't know if the Sydney turnaround is going to happen. But Dricus didn't take a lot of damage, so I mean, if he thinks he can do it, that's probably the fight to make. But
I think Dana definitely wanted either Volk or Izzy on this card, so I think he's going to push for it. It'll come down to if Duplessis is ready. But like you said, no damage. Obviously, we would like to see this fight take place at UFC Africa because that'd be amazing in the first ever African card. And just the beef between them would make it so amazing for it to be in Africa.
Of course.
But it seems like that's not happening anytime soon. And there's not as many African champions anymore with Ngannou gone and Usman, losing twice to Edwards. So probably not the case, and I think Dana's definitely going to push for this Aussie card to make this fight, and I'm ready. It's going to be a good fight, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Look, I think Izzy wins, and I like Izzy. I'm not saying that too much from a biased perspective. I just think there were some holes in Dricus's game. I think with as good of a striker and as patient of a striker as Izzy, and a guy who knows how to control the range, I think that could be a problem for Dricus, especially with the head kicks and the kicks in general, the leg kicks especially. He was leaving those wide open for Rob, and a guy like Izzy is going to take advantage of it.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. The leg kicks were there.
It's a good matchup for Izzy. But, look, Dricus isn't a walk in the park, clearly. So, I don't know what the odds will say. I don't know what the sports books will tell you what the odds are. But I'm not counting out Dricus. I'm not going to do it, even as a fan of Izzy, and I'm not going to count him out. Because he finds a way to win. Even with, everybody wrote him off against Whittaker. Nobody gave him, including ourselves. Look, we'll be the first to admit it. Look, he just finds ways to win. I mean, I don't know. There was a meme, it was good fighter who's on a losing streak, and it was Piotr Jan, and then bad fighter who's on a winning streak, and it was Dricus. That's kind of what I think about that, but clearly he's not a bad fighter.
No.
The guy's good.
After Saturday night, and anybody who does that to Robert Whittaker, you're not a bad fighter. Because that wasn't a fluke, like we mentioned. He went out there, sure, the beginning of round one looked, kind of shaky. The leg kicks were there, but he got the takedown, and he stole round one, and then went out there and finished him in round two. And the gas tank didn't deplete. That was what we said is his weakness. Maybe he's taking the next step. Maybe the no surgery really was that big of a deal.
Maybe.
I mean, hey,
even though he was still breathing through the mouth, he kept that habit didn't go away.
No.
But maybe he can do it through both. I don't know. Maybe
but hey, you know what? To be looking back, 8% oxygen intake. If you can get any more than that, that's a win. And clearly he's gotten more than 8% in his nose now because he was mouth breathing, but he didn't slow down. He didn't slow down.
No, he was relentless. Man, great performance by Dricus. I had Rob by round 2 TKO.
Yeah.
And what was yours?
I had just a Whittaker 30-26 beat down.
Yeah. Look, man, that's what most people expected. So shocking performance, and that's what made this card so exciting. Is one of the biggest upsets at middleweight in a really long time.
As much as we would have liked to have not looked like utter idiots, it made a great card just that much better. It really did.
Yeah, and it set up another good fight because I would rather have seen new blood for Izzy than a third fight against Whittaker, which he probably would beat Whittaker again. I mean. Let's be real. Well, I could say for certain that he would have beat Whittaker again after
definitely would have beat him Saturday night. Yeah,
no question. So I don't know where Whittaker goes from here, but I know where Dricus goes. Good title fight set up. It's a fight for the top. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I'm excited for that one. Just as a fan, not even from having one fighter's back in this. I'm just excited as a fan for, new blood in the middleweight division.
I love seeing somebody new fight for the title, so I'm excited.
Of course.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second fight of the card, Jalen Turner, Dan Hooker. Another incredible fight. Dan Hooker's chin held up. He looks like the Dan Hooker of old. Unless maybe Turner's just not that good. But Hooker, he ate some big shots. His chin held up, and he piled it on Turner in the back half of that fight. Good fight by Hooker. There's not much else to say. Relentless.
I mean, yeah, I listened to all the Dan Hooker interviews this morning just to learn more about his injuries because I wanted to know when they happened in the fight. And I found out he broke his right arm, his dominant hand in early round 2, wow. which is just absurd considering that's when he started picking up the pace and winning is after that.
Mm-hmm.
So to break your arm and then start winning the fight, and he ate that head kick early in the second round, didn't knock him out. It fractured his orbital as well.
Jeez.
I know.
It was a dog. I mean,
how did he win? How does
not only that? Not only did he eat that, he went on to win the fight, and he made Turner look like Turner wanted to quit.
Yeah,
he made Turner look like he was giving up because he was kind of running from Hooker and he fell down and curled up, but obviously he weathered the storm, got it to a decision. But still, the win went to Hooker, deservedly so. I think he took 2 and 3 pretty clearly.
Definitely took 2 and 3, and I think maybe maybe that's just bias because he was such a warrior. Because I've seen people saying maybe Turner took round 2 because of the damage, especially early in that round. Round 3 was clearly Dan Hooker, which is absurd considering he had a broken arm.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm most shocked about is that he broke his arm and then got better.
Yeah, it's like they lit a fire under him or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how that could have happened,
but I'm glad the Dan Hooker of old is back because he puts on bangers, and it was a banger Saturday night.
Absolutely, that was a war. I don't know where Turner goes from here. He's got to take a fight outside of the top 15, I imagine. And if he drops another one, he's in trouble. He is in trouble. I mean, he's already in trouble as it is. I did not expect him to lose to Dan Hooker. That was supposed to be a fight set up for him to win, to climb the ranks of lightweight, but couldn't get it done.
And he missed weight, and
he missed weight, 3 pounds over. So who knows if he can even cut back to 155 again?
But when he went up to 170,
he's so big.
Last time he went to 170, he got knocked out though.
Yeah, he got slept in his debut by Luque. So I don't know where to go here for Turner. I thought after round 1 and the early part of round 2, I thought this was Turner's fight to lose. Good win for him, but.
Yeah, I mean, I fear that Turner's kind of just maybe turning into one of these guys that is never gonna be a title contender, but just puts on fun fights, and that'll keep him in the UFC maybe. But yeah, it's a tough loss for Turner for sure.
I had Turner by a round 2 knockout, and you had Turner by.
I had TKO too. Yeah.
Nice. Well, 0-for-2 on that one. Not a great night. This next fight though, we had no problem getting correct. The first fight that kicked off the main card, Bo Nickel versus Val Woodburn. I wasn't sure if it would be how he'd finish the fight. I think he wanted to prove a point that he could strike, he could throw hands. He probably easily taken Woodburn down and subbed him. But I think he did want to prove a point, and he did that. He did a good job controlling the range in that first round and, landing a couple big shots and putting Woodburn out. Maybe an early stoppage, but I don't think it would have mattered regardless. He would have won that fight pretty clearly. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, he managed the distance really well, and that showed a new aspect of his striking that we haven't gotten to see because all his fights are 1 minute or they're, it's mainly grappling. Mm-hmm. But I'm me personally, I thought it was an awesome performance just because we saw something new out of him. We get to see new aspects of his game. We clearly get to see that he's training MMA now. He's not just a wrestler, right? Yeah. So that's exciting to see that he's not just going to be someone who lays in praise. He actually is trying to develop all parts of his game. Mm-hmm. And sure, it's a prospect. It's a guy who didn't have a UFC fight. It was a 7-0 record that was very padded, and we don't know how good Val Woodburn is. We still don't. Not as good as Bo Nickel, though. We know that for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't give any shit to Woodburn. I mean, that was kind of to be expected. He was like plus 1,100 underdog going into this one. Congrats on the 50K or whatever you probably got to take this fight. You probably got a pretty substantial amount of money. Imagine it was around the 50K range.
I hope it wasn't 12-12.
What?
I said I hope it wasn't a 12-12 contract. That'd be fun.
God. Yeah, and good performance by Bo Nichols. Showed a new aspect of his game, like you said. And he's already got a knockout before, I believe, on the Contender Series. But now he gets one in the UFC. I'm excited to see who how fast Dana moves with him. How fast they get him up into a top 15 fight. I don't think his next fight should be top 15, but he's certainly working his way up. And I think they should take it a little slower. But man, great fighter, great prospect.
Yeah, definitely a great prospect. I think definitely not top 15, but like give him someone who's had some experience in the UFC, right? Like a vet with a lot of fights under their belt who knows what it's like to be on the big stage, especially if you're going to put him on pay-per-views. I mean, you're just throwing a guy from the regional scene onto a pay-per-view platform. That was messed up. So give him a vet, and then if he dismantles them, then, he's the real deal, right? But
absolutely.
Slow play it, and let's see how good he is.
We both had Bo by round 1 sub. Got it done on the feet. Great performance by him. So
amazing.
Yeah. And then happy retirement to Robbie Lawler. Beautiful knockout to end his career. That was incredible. I was trying to get there. I didn't think that fight would go by so quickly, so I ended up missing the knockout as I was driving to Buffalo Wild Wings. I was walking by and I looked through the window and saw Nika Price on the ground. I was like, no way that was that quick, right? But great performance by Lawler to cap off an amazing career.
He just showed his ruthlessness, right? Well, ruthless from Lawler. He got inside in the clinch and just made it dirty, and he landed some mean hooks, mean uppercuts. Awesome. I mean, I said in the preview, obviously I had him losing in my preview prediction. So that's an L on my part for sure. But I did say, I just want this to be a good fight. And I'm rooting for him for sure. I was definitely rooting for him because, you always want to see a legend go out on top, and good way to end the career for sure.
Absolutely. And another retirement, Jimmy Crute. The hell happened? I would have liked to know that he was planning on quitting the sport prior to making a prediction on him, but I don't have anything to say. I mean, got handled, retired.
Did he actually officially retire though?
I don't know if he officially retired, but it seemed like his heart's not in it. That's for damn sure.
He quit for sure.
And he didn't waste any time taking off the gloves. Right after he got subbed, he got off, started ripping them off. So I think he's about done with
either he's retiring or he's getting cut. One of the two.
Something's happening. Happened. So happy retirement to him, I guess. So, not much else to say.
He's still a young guy. He can figure his life out.
Yeah, he's got time. That wraps up our recap of UFC 290. Best card of the year by far. And we're not talking about just on paper. That card was incredible.
Lived it to the hype for sure.
Amazing. So we're looking forward to 291, another insane card, BMF title on the line, and so many more great fights. We'll be back for our coverage of that. Until then, we'll see you guys.
Sorry, Drickus.
Sorry, Drickus. We didn't mean it.